Hey everybody, it's Rob the Mellow Guy here, coming back at you with a new video. This one, I'm going to just focus on one album, and then after I'm going to give a recommendation. But it's an update actually that an album that just came in, I had pre-ordered, so I'll be talking about that. And then at the end, I will give a recommendation to an artist similar to the artist I'm going to be talking about in this video. As you see the title of the video, and it's also going to be slightly a review of Old Tower's most recent release, Draconic Synthesis. So this album was released technically last year, but the pre-order there just came in this past week. Hospital Productions is a really tremendous label in terms of underground music, and Old Tower dungeon synth artist that's been around for a while now. I've been a fan of Old Tower for years now and just been really enjoying what that artist has been doing. Known as the Spectre, he's the mastermind behind Old Tower, and he's got a lot of attention, I feel, in recent years. I mean, he's even played some festivals in Europe. He's played some shows with certain artists. I believe he played a show of Mortis, an artist I could tell definitely influenced Old Tower's early years. So this release, let's focus on Draconic Synthesis. I have to say, for the most part, well, actually, let me show, before I get into talking about the details of the album. Of Old Tower, I have a couple. I have the vinyl version of the last release before this, the King of Old Witches. One of my favorite releases from that year when it came out. Love that album. It's a tremendous release. I highly recommend it. And I also have quite a few Old Tower CDs in my collection. If you want to check out my dungeon synth, ambient, atmospheric black metal music, I talk about my collection. It's a prior video if you want to check out my channel here. Remember to like and subscribe as well, and you can, support if you want. But I go off topic, as you see a lot. But I bring up a lot of those releases. And for the most part, all the releases, the packaging, everything is tremendous. And this one, the vinyl variant, this red, really like it with the red and black. Very much impressed by the quality and the inserts. You get the artwork. I think that design right there, the dragon, is so cool. I actually have a shirt I bought as well with the vinyl with this image. I really like it, and it fits the album's kind of shadowy, dark, occult-like theme that the album's going for. The tone of this release, as much as it is a dungeon synth album, the ambient, cinematic, atmospheric elements are just so profoundly dark and very surreal. Something Old Tower has been doing. I feel the early releases, if I was to compare, take on a bit as you see, I'm struggling to put everything back. I'll put it back later here. But this release, I feel, goes in a little bit, slightly different direction, but you still hear on this album times that remind you of the early Old Tower sound. The dungeon synth, the classic kind of dungeon synth, the blaring sounds, triumphant moments. But there's a story behind it, right? And that's where I felt that the King of Old Witches that Old Tower put out had just such a compelling theme to it. Conceptually, it was so strong. It just hooked you. The noises, the track listings, and you felt like it was telling the story without even providing lyrics. And that's what the Spectre has done so well with the most recent releases. I'd say the past 3 releases from Old Tower, and this new one, the most recent, being definitely part of that. It reminds you of somebody bringing you into another world, right? Taking you to a realm. I also feel sort of that last year when I listened to this album just on my laptop digitally, right? I also would listen to it through the Bandcamp app, because even though I pre-ordered the album, I still was able to listen to it all, right? But when I put this on my record player and listened to it in its entirety through my record player, and I was able to really soak in the album, I feel that it's even more compelling, and I almost want to put it higher. I was like, I want to revise my top 10 albums of 2023 list. If you want to check it out, it's on the rockandmetaltemple.blogspot.com. I have a link on my channel, link below here in the video. And I felt like I put that probably, in a way, I'm looking back now and I feel like that album could possibly be in the top 5. I just really liked how it flowed, just listening to it through my record player. And, you know, it was like a different feel. And that was the same with the King of Old Witches, or excuse me, the Old King of Witches. I'm mispronouncing it. I had to look at my poster in the corner to make sure I'm saying it right. Yes, it's the Old King of Witches from Old Tower. If you're not familiar with this channel, I'm sure the people that are, they'll go, yeah, you know, you mispronounce things here and there, and it happens. Again, I'm not trying to be like I'm, you know, Mr. 100% professional video. I just do this for fun. You know, I'm honest. I own up to it. You know, I'm not full of myself like, you know, some of these people in the world, right? You know, these celebrities who suck, sports analysts, music analysts, and anyone who, you know, claims to be so great and professional. But we all, at the end of the day, we have our flaws. No one's perfect. But getting back to it, I'd have to say, well, Old Tower is perfect, because this album, from the start to the finish, Draconic Synthesis just really has that sound that you don't hear a lot from ambient and dungeon synth artists, and why the Spectre is doing so well of Old Tower. And I believe this album is definitely something that people should check out. It's kind of like a hidden gem. I feel that the early releases of Old Tower get a lot of attention from the world of Dungeon Synth, the Dungeon Synth Archives YouTube channel. A lot of fans of Dungeon Synth, they go to those early releases, they cite them. Rise of the Spectre, you know, that's a great Old Tower release. Love it myself, but I personally have really become fascinated with this current direction, and I want to, it's like I want to see it continue, right? This is where I believe Old Tower has the chance to really make an impact. And the Spectre, one of the most creative, malevolent minds in music today. And so I'm looking forward to future Old Tower releases for sure. Especially, I highly recommend going back and checking everything as well as this new release. But if I was to rate it, going with my, you know, to pay homage to Greg Turkington from On Cinema, as he uses the popcorn bags rating, I would give this 5 bags of popcorn. So, you know, this is a 5 out of 5. It's that good. Actually, I would say 6 bags of popcorn. And maybe throw in there, you know, a draconic symbol, you know, worn by a priest during a dark ritual. Throw that in there. It's a really good release, so I recommend it. And speaking of really good releases and a Dungeon Synth ambient artist, also like Old Tower, it's a one-man project, Wallachian Cobwebs. Hearken to the Moon Whisper. So let me pull it out because the protected kind of, you can't really see it. Reflection. Also, there's a little bit of a glare. I apologize for the quality there. Like I say, I'm not the most perfect professional production here. I'm working with a limited budget. But I love the album artwork on this. This is a really cool release. And Wallachian Cobwebs, this album is very much, it focuses on vampire lore, the Bram Stoker Dracula, right? And you hear it, right? In the sound clips at times, in the feel of this album, the ambience, vampires, the whole kind of, it's like an old-fashioned horror movie, right? Like the Universal horror films, kind of, in a way, the sound and the feel of this release. Like, you could see this being the music for something that Universal would have put out, or even like a silent film back in the day, you know, dealing with vampires and the whole kind of dark imagery, right, that we think when we see black and white horror films. But this album, when it came out, just it grabbed me. I remember I bought it on the Bandcamp app, and then when the album came out, they only did like a limited pressing of this on vinyl. And I'll give a shout out to Namazu Records. They're the label that put it out. And like I said, it was limited to a certain amount of copies. Actually, I can see it's only 100 copies of this on vinyl. And I made sure when I saw the pre-order go up that Wallachian Cobwebs shared, I quickly made sure I ordered myself a copy, because I beyond taken by this album, and the sound, the keyboard arrangements, the sound, the tones and the layering throughout the release, right? I can tell you, just grabbed me. One song in particular, I think I would have to say Uprising of the Green Skeletons. There's something about it that just is so horrifying. You hear this, like the rustle of bones and this kind of malevolent marching sound that just, it starts coming at you with such just malicious force and darkness. And I just thought, hey, gosh, this is some cinematic horror, dungeon synth music that Hollywood has nothing on. I can tell you that film scores for horror movies in the last so many few years past, they have nothing on what the artists that I listen to, in my opinion, are doing. I'm sorry. Hollywood is a joke already, right? The current listing of movies coming out this year is embarrassing, and Hollywood, I don't think, will ever learn its lesson because they're just so wrapped in this BS of pushing movies with an agenda, and they just completely have abandoned storytelling. Where I look at artists like Old Tower, right, what the Spectre is doing, and I look at Wallachian Cobwebs, they also put out a follow-up to this album, A Night Saw Potion Disease. That release I would also recommend. And that album is fascinating because it deals with the Frankenstein story, right? And it kind of follows that. And the Spectre from Old Tower actually makes an appearance on it. So there's a connection. I really like that. He does a voice part for that album, A Night Saw Potion Disease by Wallachian Cobwebs. So check it out. But no, right now, modern Hollywood just doesn't know how to tell a story. But these artists that I'm talking about, they can tell a story. They can, without even having to use a lot of words, right? This is dungeon synth music, right? This is ambient music. They're not providing you with every single detail in terms of lyrics, but it's the sounds, it's the track listing, it's how the music evolves and the dynamic approach to it, right? And as I said, I look at like modern storytelling, whether it be through movies and even music, right? And in terms of certain, I would say, artists nowadays, they don't know how to tell stories. They don't know how to grab people. It's a lot of the substance, I would say, is lacking. So if I was to say in terms of substance, the two albums that I've just talked about, 10 out of 10, 5 bags of popcorn, whatever you want to say, exceptional. And that's why I make these videos. Honestly, I tell people, is I'm not making this to, I'm making this not to become some popular YouTuber. I'm making this to promote artists that I do believe have such talent that should be looked at more, right? They should be given more respect. And I really hope that more people check out some of these releases, because I look at the artists that had influenced them, right? Going back to Mortis, the first few albums from Mortis, those dungeon synth releases at that time that were highly influential and pretty much established Mortis as a very iconic artist that, would go on, unfortunately, to do a little more industrial stuff that I'm just not into. But that period of Mortis was so significant. Look at the artists that have come out, right? Same with atmospheric black metal. I mean, look at Summoning and what they accomplished. And then bam, the whole next generation just went crazy with great atmospheric black metal releases. And it really was Summoning's run in the 90s that did that, I feel. And so Old Tower, Wallachian Cobwebs, I'm rooting for them to continue. And I believe that we're going to see hopefully young artists, musicians that are into this type of music, right? They're going to then listen and go, wow, how do I go about now approaching and making my music, right? Have that same vibe, right? That same feel, conveying those elements, right? And telling a story and telling something that gets people, right? That truly grabs people. They want to buy the album on vinyl. They want to buy the shirt. They want to support the artist because they have such an appreciation for what was done and the accomplishment that was, done by that artist. So that's something I wanted to bring up, especially I've been very on this Hollywood, anti-Hollywood, because I've just been so tired of everything I've seen from them. Same with mainstream music. God, you freaking can't watch a football game without Taylor Swift, the most soulless succubus individual in the world of music. Oh my God, geez. She ruined music for the mainstream, and I guess she's now ruined football. That woman just can't do anything God, isn't she also? I think she had an acting career, didn't she? Which probably sucked because God, a lot of these musicians that turn into actors, let's be honest, their movies bomb. No, not just to be honest. I mean, God, just to go back and think about it. But going just sidetracked here, I would say definitely check out Old Tower, Wallachian Cobwebs. Give their music a listen and support, because if you are a fan of dungeon synth ambient music, you will not be disappointed. Very, very impressive releases. So thank you everybody for checking this out. Remember to like and subscribe. Check out my other videos. If you want to see me try to attempt to play guitar, I do have a video I put out with me and my 12 string that I have right here in the case. I'm thinking about maybe making some other videos of me showing that I can somewhat play. You know, I've got different instruments and come up with my ideas. You know, why not? I'm no Yngwie, but you know, I definitely enjoy it. All right, people. Well, I appreciate you watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe and support the artists that work so hard to come up with such great releases like Old Tower and Wallachian Cobwebs. Thank you. Rod the Metal Guy, signing off.